Good afternoon, everybody. What's happening, everybody, on this Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning into Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. Letitia James faces criminal referral to the DOJ for mortgage fraud. I don't know. Sounds an awful lot to me. Like she filed paperwork incorrectly. Wouldn't that just be a kick in the head? Wouldn't that just be wouldn't that just be the circle of life coming back around? Wouldn't that just be, just some kind of perfectness? I think it would be. Also, the White House proposal would eliminate funding for the UN and NATO, something we have all wanted for quite some time. Japan to kick off tariff negotiations with President Trump. The news is breaking all throughout the day. I think I just got... I'm going to look something up throughout. I just got majestic news. My New Yorkers, I just got some stupendous news. Giddy up, let's go. Guys, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, share the video out all over the place as we are rocking, as we are rolling here. This show is brought to you guys by Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Hey guys, head on over to own.oldglorybank.com. That's own.oldglorybank.com. Support the people who are supporting the movement over at own.oldglorybank.com. Giddy up, let's go. So we've got some breaking news coming across the wire. This from punchbowlnews.com. Apparently, Elise Stefanik is planning on running for governor of New York. Yeah, this being broken by Punchbowl News. We are waiting for a secondary source on this one. Everybody in the world seems to have it. Politico, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, Punchbowl. Oh, yay. Oh, happy day. I want to be clear. We still back the Bruce down here on Long Island. However, we are finally starting to get a MAGA candidate in the race. Oh, yes. You can't, if I wasn't sitting down, I would be dancing. This from NBC News. Rep. Elise Stefanik is exploring a bid for governor of New York, according to two sources familiar with the matter. One of the sources said Stefanik is seriously considering a run after receiving encouragement from Republicans in New York and members of the Trump world, including GOP donors. Oh, yes. Look. The first thing they teach you in journalism school, when you go to journalism school, is don't make the story about you. If the story is about you, you're covering it incorrectly. That is the first thing they teach you. My life just got a lot easier. I want to be very clear. My life just got exceedingly easier. You know what? I have been in such a good mood all day. Can you see this? Do you see this? Joker face right here. I am stuck in Caitlin Collins mode right now. The potential move comes after Donald Trump withdrew her nomination as ambassador to the United Nations and asked her to stay in Congress instead, where she has been given a new leadership arrangement. Stefanik already has $10 million in cash across her various political entities and has outrun Trump in her upstate district every single time, which that has happened. New York Republicans can't... Well, I'm not reading. That's ridiculous. Democratic Party spokesperson called her a pathetic excuse of a Trump minion, which sounds like she's going to do pretty good to me. Oh, yeah. Wow, today is just getting better and better, which either means I'm in for a real downfall in the second half of the day, or I should go play lotto. Stefanik's nomination as the UN ambassador was abruptly withdrawn last month after Trump expressed concerns about the slim GOP majority in the House. Now, this also comes as governor, and this is going to be personal to Elise Stefanik. Why? Because Kathy Hochul refused to schedule a special election for her seat in New York, in upstate New York. Why? Because if Elise Stefanik were named the UN ambassador, that would, of course, give Democrats an even tighter minority in the House of Representatives until she called that special election. Now, that seat was always going to be held by a Republican. It was just a matter of which Republican was going to hold the seat. I think it's like, I want to say Cook Political. I want to say it is a... It's like an R plus 26. It's something, let's see if I can pull it up real quick. It's like an R plus 20, we'll say. Somewhere in that range. It was always going to be held by a Republican. The question was going to be which one. So if Elise Stefanik is pissed, I want to be clear. There are very few people. I would like to piss off in Congress less than Elise Stefanik. Yeah, I think I said that. I would not like to upset her. So if she is seriously considering a run for governor, that means that New York has 2 potential candidates, possibly 3 potential MAGA candidates in the race. Of course, those 3 names are Steve McLaughlin, Bruce Blakeman, and now apparently Elise Stefanik. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. We got more news coming out of New York. As it turns out, the tide has shifted for old AG Letitia James. As the Donald Trump administration has hit Letitia James with a criminal referral to the DOJ over alleged mortgage fraud. Mortgage fraud. Sounds like she filed paperwork incorrectly. I don't know. Is that reminiscent of anything to anybody? Is that something that you guys might have heard before? I don't know. Does it sound like, you took a piece of paper and it should be over here and you moved it over here? I think that's what it sounds like to me. I'm shocked that Letitia James didn't see this coming, considering she's looking in 2 directions at once. Yes, a lowbrow, low-hanging fruit comment, but I don't like her, so I don't really mind saying that she bears similar resemblance to Rasputia from Norbit. And if you've seen that movie, it probably means you're awesome, because that's one of the worst Eddie Murphy movies of all time. Let's pop this live chat up on the screen so that everybody can enjoy and bask in my happiness for the day. Why? Because my life just got exceedingly easier. If the Elise Stefanik news is true, I'm really happy right now. I don't really express this much joy over almost anything. I'm a bit of a Debbie Downer, as some might say. Has anybody in the chat seen the movie Norbit? It's one of the worst movies ever made, but it's a great movie. It's a great, great movie. What's up, Marissa, in the chat? How are you? Regina, how is it going? Everybody watching everywhere. Gina Marie, how are you? R-Star, how are we doing? Kit Kat Mar, oh, happy day. I'm never this happy. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm genuinely, kind of a downer. But, Patriotic Lady, I've seen it a million times. Everyone should go see Norbit. It's one of the worst movies ever made. Really, it's a genuinely bad movie. But it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. As usual, Eddie Murphy plays every character in the movie because when Eddie Murphy makes a movie, nobody else in Hollywood can get any food in their mouth. But that's okay. That's okay. Bob R., what is happening? I'm excited today. So let's dive back in to the Letitia James case. What all is happening with this? Oh, it turns out the outlet had, the New York Post reported that the federal housing director, William Plute, could that really be his name? Plute? Sent a referral to Attorney General Pam Bondi, as well as to the Department of Justice, and accused James of falsified records. Oh, really? Oh, falsified records. To get a home loan in Virginia while she was still serving as the state Attorney General. The alleged false document said that James's home in Virginia was her principal residence. When a home is labeled as one's principal residence, loans will sometimes be more favorable. Oh, you don't say. Favorable loans. Oh, right. Almost like, I don't know, like estimating that somebody overvalued Mar-a-Lago when it really should be worth $18 million, even though it is one of the most expensive properties in the country, so that you could get favorable loans from Deutsche Bank. Oh, yeah. All right. Ah, yes. The criminal referral reads, in part, based on media reports, Miss James has, in multiple instances, falsified bank documents and property records to acquire government-backed assistance and loans at more favorable loan terms. I want to be clear. Democrats. Do I think we should be prosecuting elected officials on paperwork crimes? On paperwork mishaps? No. But I didn't create this world. I'm just living in the one you all created. So, ain't that, guys, you know what, chat? I'm not going to say it because I have become better at not cursing. So, chat, why don't you let everyone know what karma can sometimes be? What karma can sometimes be? I'll mute my mic as I say it. It would be a real shame if that sort of thing happened. Yes. This has the potential of including falsifying resident status for Norfolk, Virginia-based home in order to secure a mortgage loan rate. And 2, misrepresenting property descriptions to meet stringent requirements for government-backed loans and government assistance. According to the referral letter, James bought a multi-family home in Brooklyn, but consistently misrepresented the same property as only having 4 units in both building permit applications and numerous mortgage document applications, the letter alleges. In addition to these, Plute, could that really be his name? P-U-L-T-E, Plute, said that James had purchased the property with her father as the co-signer in 1983 as well as in the year 2000, but that the documents labeled the pair as husband and wife. Boy, should we be... Guys, look, I want to be intellectually consistent here. Should we be going back to the 1980s for alleged crimes? No. However, in this case, Letitia James, what's that, chat? What is karma? What is karma sometimes? I can't hear you. Say it louder for the people in the back. While this is a long time ago, the article says, it raises concerns about the validity of Miss James's residence on mortgage applications. Oh boy. I'm going to watch the chat. Yeah, chat, what is karma sometimes? Let's see. Let's put what is karma sometimes? Ain't that a kick in the head? That would be a damn shame if we went back to the 1980s for process crimes. The chat seems to understand what karma can sometimes be. I want to be clear. I don't think we should be doing this. However, I'm just living in the world created by Democrats. I don't want this to happen. Hold on. I take that back. I absolutely want this to happen. It shouldn't be happening, but, whatever. Sometimes stuff happens. Wow, today is just spectacular. I don't think I've been in this good of a mood in a lot of other things happened today, like on a personal level, that have made me in a very good mood. I want to be clear. I got some great news about a person I genuinely hate having a very bad day. Things are really good. My buddy Sean is going on Timcast tonight. That's going to be great. Make sure to check that out. Giddy up, let's go. I'm excited. I'm so excited I need a sip. But there is more good news coming. Across all fronts. It turns out the White House has proposed axes to the UN and NATO funds, which would halve the State Department budget. Oh, wouldn't that be another one of those ironic things that rhyme with a female dog? Wouldn't that be a shame? A draft State Department budget calls for allocating $2 billion for America First priorities. Whoa, this is interesting. I'm really worried. I'm really worried that something bad's going to happen today because the first half of my day has been so great that I kind of have to even out. We'll see. The Trump administration is mulling a proposal that would slash the State Department budget by $27 billion, nearly in half, and shutter smaller embassies and consulates around the world. Thank you. That would be great. This is a great, great start. Let's do it to the Pentagon next. I know the war hawks out there, like Lindsey Graham, probably upset about this. However, I have come to the realization that if Lindsey Graham hates it, I've got a feeling I probably like it. Or if Lindsey Graham likes it, I probably hate it. Like men. The proposal calls for the elimination. I hope nobody clips that. The proposal calls for the elimination of funding for more than 20 international organizations, including the United Nations, NATO, the Organization of American States. What the hell is that? The U.S. contributed about $13 billion to the UN in 2023 and around $3.5 billion to NATO. The proposal calls for reallocating $2 billion for America First priorities. Those coffers could be used for specific partners like India and Jordan. What the hell does that mean? I don't want any money going to Jordan. Like actually Jordan or like the other Jordan? According to the document, or broader priorities like the South Pacific Tuna Treaty. What the hell is that? However, a State Department spokesperson said Tuesday that no final plan or no final budget has yet been laid out. The proposal is an early draft and has to pass layers of approval within the administration before it even gets to Congress. Congress can then take action to outline, but ultimately draw up its own budget figures. The Foreign Service travel budget and benefits would be scaled back, and the Fulbright scholarship would be eliminated. Let's see, here we go. Past Fulbright scholarship. Let's see. The Fulbright scholarship has awarded over 400,000 grants to individuals, students, scholars, teachers, artists, and professionals since its inception. Yeah. Let's see. Notable alumni of this. Anybody in here that I actually care about? Probably not. Let's see. Who was a Fulbright scholar that of all these people, anyone in particular? Nope. Nobody I seem to care about. Just looking at the list. So, let's do away with it. Let's be done. All right. I take it back. Dolph Lundgren was a Fulbright scholar. So, without that, we might not have had Ivan Drago. Therefore, we wouldn't have had Rocky IV. That's important. We should make sure we get more of those. We should definitely make sure we get more of those because Rocky IV is a great movie. Rocky IV is a great, great movie. Let's see. Anybody else in here that I would actually care about if we lost? Let's see. Nope, I don't seem to see anybody. Not a damn one. So let's do away with that. Now, here's the problem. Do I think a lot of this is going to pass? Probably not. The war hawks and the people who still think we're fighting the Soviet Union are going to lose their mind in Congress if we pull back from NATO, even though we're basically funding the entire thing. I think it would be a great idea if we closed some of the smaller embassies. Why? Do we need an embassy in every country in Europe? Do you know how small some of the countries in Europe are, like Malta or Luxembourg? How many Americans are actually in some of the countries in Central Africa? Do we really need them? Moreover, if you're an American and you go to one of these smaller countries, maybe, don't. Maybe don't. It also proposes a 54% cut in the global health funding, with carve-outs for malaria, HIV, tuberculosis, and the complete elimination of international peacekeeping funds. Yeah, because America shouldn't have to pay into NATO and the UN and the Treaty of the United Americans, whatever the hell that is, and also pay for peacekeepers. You know why? Because I genuinely mean this. UN peacekeepers are worthless. If you need any, proof of that, just ask Yugoslavia, a country that doesn't exist anymore, after a genocide took place because UN peacekeepers couldn't do anything. Or, maybe ask the people of Rwanda how that ended up going. It turns out it's just been, even if I give some of these entities the benefit of the doubt, even if I did, which I don't, even if I did, they're a failure. Even if I gave them the benefit of the doubt and they weren't a failure, I still don't know why I have to pay for it. I still don't know why. When asked about the budget plan during the State Department briefing, Tammy Bruce, formerly of Fox News, who's now the spokesperson of the State Department, said throughout the history of the United States, everyone has a budget plan and everyone has ideas and budgets. And every president has had a budget plan and sends it to Congress. And then Congress either accepts it or they have their own ideas, which happens more often than not. So do I think that this is ending, that this is probably going to end up happening? Probably not. But, look, the Trump administration has had a lot of success in the past of dismantling some of these nonsense organizations and pulling back funding for many of the other ones, including things like Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Asia, and the Middle East broadcasting networks. Yeah, somehow I don't know why I need to pay for that. I don't know why I got to pay for that. The White House budget is set to be transferred to Congress next month before the Republican-led House and Senate can get to work on passing appropriations bills for each of the government agencies, which they won't do. They'll pass the one big beautiful bill, which I hate, but it's what's going to end up happening. Look, I want to be clear. I hate omnibus bills when Democrats are in power, and I hate omnibus bills when Republicans are in power. But I also live in reality. We'll see what happens. Of course, Shaheen, the top Democrat on the House Foreign Relations Committee, said that the cuts would leave our country alone and exposed and allow China and Russia to fill the vacuum made by the vacancies in this administration. So, let me get this straight. Shaheen. First off, no names should rhyme, okay? Like, they just shouldn't. But let me ask you, so if we pulled our embassy out of Luxembourg, what, you think the Russians are just going to walk in? These people think that foreign affairs is like playing a video game. Completely asinine. Completely and utterly asinine. But that's what we get from House Democrats. Why in the world would we cut NATO funding at a moment when the war is raging in Europe and security threats on the continent grow? You're right, Janine. Security threats on that continent are growing. That continent, way over there. That's why we should cut funding, so that that continent can up their funding. It's weird how this is happening. It's weird how, I don't know, it seems like we're starting to get everything we asked for. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It is not clear whether or not Secretary Marco Rubio endorses the initial proposal. I want to hear from Rubio directly. Said Brian Shantz of Hawaii, the senator. He's the top Democrat on the Senate Appropriations Committee that handles the State Department funding. And he calls it very troubling. Troubling. Oh, it's troubling. Oh, no. Oh, no. You know what he didn't find troubling? The fact that our country got invaded over the last 4 years by the worst of the worst around the world. And even if they weren't the worst of the worst around the world, we still were invaded by 15, 20, 30, who the hell knows how many million people. Didn't find a way to find that troubling. What a shame. What a shame. I mean, look, you guys know I'm feeling good when I got the baseball. You guys know I'm feeling good when I got the baseball in my hand. This is good stuff. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Rocking and rolling and rocking. Guys, do me a favor. Before we keep going, hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. Share it out. Bingo, bango. I got some big news coming very soon for my local audience. Oh, yeah. But before we get to that, guys, do me a favor. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. Bam, there it is. There's the good stuff. Check out the Loud Majority shop. That is the best way to support this program and everything we've got going on over here. Also, anybody who picks up anything today from the shop will get a free Loud Majority USA decal with every order. Look at the stuff I'm scrolling through here. Who could not want that? Who could not want this stuff? I'll be honest with you. I have a pair of these Loud Majority shorts. They're awesome. They are so soft. You're going to want to pick these up today. Giddy up. Let's go. Everybody will get a free Loud Majority decal in the mail with any of their order. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Life is good. Life is rocking and rolling. That's the best way to support this program and everything we've got going on over here. Also, the Trump administration continues to fight back against crazy-ass states like that of Maine. The Trump DOJ has begun suing Maine over their defiance of the executive order protecting women's sports. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced on Wednesday morning that the Department of Justice is suing the Maine Department of Education over its continued defiance of an executive order signed by President Trump in February blocking biological men from competing in women's sports. This should not be complicated. Here's Pam Bondi.
Today, the Department of Justice is announcing a civil lawsuit against the Maine Department of Education. The state of Maine is discriminating against women by failing to protect women in women's sports. Pretty basic stuff. This is a violation of Title IX. The Department of Justice will not sit by when women are discriminated against in sports. This is about sports. This is also about these young women's personal safety. I've met many of these women throughout the past weeks and months, and what they have been through is horrific. We have exhausted every other remedy. We tried to get Maine to comply. We don't like standing up here and filing lawsuits. We want to get states to comply with us. That's what this is about. We have repeatedly notified Maine of its infractions and urged them to remedy the situation to protect women. We've stripped grants from Maine through other departments, and we are going to continue to fight for women.
But Democrats, of course, have to take the 20% issue on almost everything. It's like they can't stop themselves. They can't stop themselves from being on the wrong side of almost every issue. And of course, that brings me to Kilmar Garcia. Kilmar Garcia is, of course, the El Salvadorian MS-13 member. That's not me saying it. That is two courts saying that he's a member of MS-13, who we deported to an El Salvadorian jail, his country of origin, and Democrats losing their ever-loving mind over it. So much so that Chris Van Hollen, the senator from the state, what the hell is Maryland? The Blue Crab state? I don't know. Crab cakes and lacrosse. That's what Maryland does. Chris Van Hollen has decided that he is going to stand up to this, and he is going to go down to that El Salvadorian prison and get this alleged MS-13 member. Well, let me know how that goes, bro.
You are also a graduate of Harvard, and another one of our top stories that we've been talking about is the Trump administration just froze $2.2 billion in federal funds to Harvard after the school said no to the demands that they've made on other schools and they've agreed to. The administration says that this is part of their trying to fight anti-Semitism, responding to a series of incidents, anti-Semitic incidents on campuses. What do you think of this? Will Harvard be okay, do you think, without $2.2 billion?
Oh, that's the wrong clip. Sorry about that. That was the clip about Harvard. We're going to wait on that one. But Chris Van Hollen has decided that he is going to go down to, Chris Van Hollen decided that he is going to go down to El Salvador, and he is going to scoop up this MS-13 gang member. Why? Because Democrats have to find themselves on the wrong side of almost every issue. Chris Van Hollen didn't seem to mind when Laken Riley was killed. He didn't seem to mind when Rachel Morin was killed in his state. No, he was quite silent on that issue, as Democrats tend to be. So Chris Van Hollen currently on his way to El Salvador to, scoop up some guy. Of course, nobody wants to bring up the fact that it turns out this Kilmar Garcia, apparently we saw a passionate plea from his wife about how sad she was and she should be celebrating the holiday with him and this and that and the third. She conveniently left out the fact that in 2021 she filed an order of protection against him for beating the crap out of her. That's right. The wife of Kilmar Garcia, this was the post-millennial, a man deported from Maryland to his native El Salvador on March 14th, has spoken out publicly to ask for the return of her husband to the United States. In fact, a GoFundMe campaign has raised over $165,000 for it. However, she leaves out the fact that in 2021, she petitioned for a domestic violence protection order against this guy. So let's chalk him up here. In the country illegally, alleged potential member of MS-13 said to American courts, and a wife beater. But Democrats, you keep fighting for this man. Why? Because, well, that's just what Democrats do. Chris Van Hollen making an absolute ass out of himself And Stephen Miller, of course, the absolute savage that he is, said as much on Fox News last night when he was questioned about Senator Van Hollen going down to rescue this alleged gangbanger. Here was the savage himself, Stephen Miller.
All right, Mr. Miller. Van Halen is going to El Salvador tomorrow. What do you think the chances are of him returning with a terrorist?
I judge them to be quite low, Jesse. The Senator Van Hollen seems to be under the very confused impression that this MS-13 terrorist is his constituent. He is President Bukele's constituent. He is President Bukele's citizen. He is President Bukele's resident. He is not a Maryland man. He is not a Maryland anything. He is an illegal alien from El Salvador with a deportation order from the United States. He is not legally even allowed to be in our country. Under the due process that these Democrats so venerate for illegal invaders, it is legally impermissible for him to have one more minute in this country. So we honored the law and obeyed the law by getting him out of this country.
Democrats keep taking the 80-20. Keep taking the bait. Why? I'm going to tell you why. I want you all to do this weekend, okay? When you go out, you're out and about, you're walking around your supermarket, you go to your local bar, whatever the hell it is you do on the weekends. I want you to just ask the guy sitting next to you who Kilmar Garcia is. You know why? You guys are engaged. You're listening. You're paying attention. So you have heard of this person. But to the average person sitting in a bar somewhere, no one has any idea who this guy is. Therefore, nobody cares. Nobody cares. All they know is that Donald Trump is keeping his promise to the American people to deport evil people from this country. Now, I would love to ask Chris Van Hollen if he, if he traveled to go see Rachel Morin's mother. She's been in the news recently. As a matter of fact, between CBS, ABC, and NBC, they spent 0 minutes on the fact that Rachel Morin's killer was found guilty of murder, the illegal immigrant that raped and killed that Maryland mother. Spent 0 minutes on that and spent combined over 50 minutes talking about Kilmar Garcia. Here was Rachel Morin's mom on Hannity.
What are your thoughts on your senator going to bat for this illegal, but did he ever say anything to you and your family about your loss, to ever call you, ever take the time to be with you?
No, actually, I'm very angry. I'm actually outraged, but I'm too sad at the moment to show anger at the same time. He did not call our family. He did not give condolences. There was no action on the Democratic Party in any way, from Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Mayorkas, anyone here in Maryland, none of the senators did anything to help search for the murderer of my daughter.
Yep, and that's an American citizen there. But Democrats continue to care about foreign invaders. But Kevin, he didn't commit a crime in the United States. He broke the law to get in here. That's a crime. And we're getting exactly what we were promised from President Trump. It's almost hard to believe that the president has got some of his highest approval ratings of all time, because all Trump is doing, all Donald Trump is doing, is forcing Democrats into a corner that they can't back themselves out of because they are too afraid to go against their most radical base. A new poll from the Daily Mail shows Donald Trump being 8 points above water in his approval rating, with 54% of Americans approving of what Donald Trump is doing. Why? Because he told us he was going to do this stuff. And now people are befuddled. They are shocked. They are bemused. They have no idea what to do when they're actually getting what look, I've been in politics a long time, and it's very rare that you get a politician that actually does what he says he's going to do. It's a conflicting feeling, because I'm like, on one hand, are we really getting what we wanted? Are we getting all of what we wanted? No, we're not. Guys, it's not even 100 days in. It's not even 100 days in. Donald Trump hasn't been president for, 3 months yet? Some of these things are going to take time. And Democrats are absolutely flailing, while Republicans hold firm. We're going to show you that in 1 second. Before we do that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD, for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. Now, Democrats are going to continue to try this tactic where Republicans are failing, they're flailing. Oh no, they've got such regret because, they'll find one or two people on Twitter who are very upset at Donald Trump over something. And look, you're not going to satisfy everybody. You're just not going to. So some prominent ex-account will get pissed off at Donald Trump, probably about Israel. They'll be befuddled, and people like Harry Sisson and Brian and Ed Krasenstein and JoJo, the drunk from Jersey, will, they'll bemuse that MAGA is divided and MAGA is falling apart. MAGA is separating. Except when you really dive into the numbers, you find out that no, not at all. Almost none of us feel any regret. As a matter of fact, less people regret voting for Donald Trump now than after January 6th.
Let's talk about Trump voters and how they feel. Do they regret their vote?
I mean, this is the big question, right? I hear all these stories, all these articles. All the Trump voters, they regret what they did back in 2024. I'm here to tell you, very few of them regret what they did back in 2024. What are we talking about? Trump voters looking back at 2024. We got a new poll out. The poll was conducted this month. What percentage would change their vote to a different candidate? We're talking just 2%, just 2%. That's not even a wide spot on the road. And then there's this additional 1% who say they would rather not vote. We're talking overall under 5% might or would have changed their vote, Donald Trump voters back in 2024. And then you ask, okay, the same question to Kamala Harris voters, and it turns out the numbers are rather similar. So if there was a repeat, if folks got to be able to redo their vote that they had back in 2024, would the result be any different? I doubt it would be. Or it would still be extremely close. The bottom line is, for all this talk of Trump voters regretting their vote, in the numbers, it really just doesn't show up, John.
So the stickiness with Trump voters and President Trump in this presidency, how does it compare to his first presidency?
Yeah, okay. So, I was interested in sort of a historical analogy here, does this look similar or different from back in 2017, looking at 2016? Well, in February of 2017, 4% of Trump voters say they'd shift their vote. That's actually slightly more than the 3% this time around. So, you look back, you say, okay, there's these Trump voters who really regret their vote. Historically speaking, they really don't regret their vote. And if anything, the number this time around is actually smaller than it was the first time around. And it's certainly smaller than the number we saw coming out of 2020, of course, after the events of January 6th. So the bottom line is this. If there's some idea out there that Trump voters are going around, man, I wish I had voted for Kamala Harris instead of Donald Trump, the numbers say that is a fanciful universe. It really, for the most part, does not exist.
What about
do you regret voting for this? Or are you getting exactly what you voted for? Are you getting exactly what you voted for? Giddy up, let's go. I'm loving every second of it. And every day I feel more and more proud of it. Sure, did the markets take a hit? They absolutely did. But what Donald Trump said to many of the people on Wall Street is, you got a nice Wall Street here. It would be a shame if something happened to it. Maybe it's time for Wall Street to stop shorting American companies while betting on foreign companies. And that's probably why Donald Trump has reached his peak as his popularity surges to the highest since inauguration. Currently, Donald Trump's approval rating sits at 54%, with only 46% disapproving. This ties his all-time high of this year in this poll, and is a 5-point boost to him in late March. The poll conducted about 1,000 registered voters between April 10th and 14th, the days during the so-called stock market turmoil, after the president instituted tariff increases he ran on, which appear to have brought dozens of countries to the negotiating table. So, I want to be clear. In the middle of the stock market collapse, where the world was going to end, you remember that, guys? Last week, when the world was ending, the sky was falling, the walls were caving in, the volcanoes were erupting. Remember that? Turns out during that week, Donald Trump saw his highest approval rating ever. Do you know why? Because the American people know exactly what President Trump is doing. He knows this is a long-term strategy to benefit the nation. And as we see here, Japan is ready to kick off tariff and trade negotiations with Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. I told you guys this weeks ago. That this all comes down to the auto industry. This all comes down to the auto industry. And what we were going to get from Germany, the EU, and Japan. Let's dive in. This from the New York Post. President Trump said that Japan is ready to kick off tariff negotiations with the United States on Wednesday, becoming one of the first countries to test his willingness to relent on the sweeping levies. He said in a Truth Social post, Japan is coming in today to negotiate tariffs, the cost of military support, and trade fairness. I will attend the meetings along with Treasury and Commerce secretaries. Hopefully something will be worked out, which will be great for Japan and the United States. It comes a day after the Trump administration said it had been presented with at least 15 offers from other nations for trade deals following the president's announcement of the 90-day pause on tariffs. More than 75 countries have reached out for talks as well. Scott Bessent, who is slated to join the talks with Tokyo's top trade negotiator, I'm not even going to try to say that guy's name, has said there is a first mover advantage given the number of countries trying to hash out deals. Absolutely. You want to be successful as one of these countries negotiating with the president? Then be the first in the room. Because if you're the last one in the room, we're not going to need you. We're not going to need you. Ahead of the 90-day pause, Japan was hit with 24% levies on exports to the United States. A 10% universal remains in place, as does the 25% duty for cars, a mainstay of Japan's export economy. Japan exports cars. If you look at a parking lot, you're going to see more Toyotas and Nissans. You're going to see more Hondas than any other vehicle. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, I'm sorry, I'm not being a dick. Sorry about that. Has said Monday that his country wouldn't rush into a deal and didn't plan to make huge concessions. I got a feeling they're going to be making some big concessions when they get in. Scott Bessent, I'm confident that Japan and the United States will be able to work out a good deal that benefits both nations, reopens consumer markets to each other's exports, and accounts for military aid we have provided them for decades. Yeah. It turns out the car export is not only what we give Japan, we protect them from China, just like we protect South Korea from North Korea. just like we protect the EU from Russia. They should be paying us, not the other way around. I have long said, and when you watch this show, you know I say it. You know I say it up, down, left ways, and sideways, that I am sick and tired of preventing anything bad happening on the world stage while each and every one of us suffers. While people in North Carolina still live in tents. While people in California still can't get their homes rebuilt after the fires. While people in Maui, remember Maui? Yeah, they're still screwed. But hey, let's make sure nothing happens to Japan. Japan's doing just fine. On an economic level, on a cultural level, Japan is doing just fine. America continues to suffer. We got a few more stories we got to get to. Before we check out for the day, some good news. Some good news. Before we get to that, guys, head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA-TV related. Check out the LFA-TV store. And while you guys are there, consider becoming a monthly donor. Consider becoming a monthly donor over at lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's how we keep the lights on over here. We really do appreciate the support by going to lfatv.us. It's lfatv.us. So, more good news from the Trump administration that we're going to make sure that we get to. It turns out Donald Trump, you ready for this? You guys heard a lot in the last administration about how Joe Biden brought the price of insulin way down. Brought the price of insulin way down. You ready for what Donald Trump did? Donald Trump signed an executive order making insulin 3 cents. 3 cents. On Tuesday, President Trump signed an executive order meant to lower the price of insulin to as low as 3 cents and injectable epinephrine to $15 for low-income patients in America. The order, aimed at lowering prescription drug costs for Americans overall, is not just targeting insulin and epinephrine, but is also aimed at standardizing Medicare payments for prescription drugs, such as cancer treatments, regardless of where the patient receives care. A fact sheet on the order states that the order will lower prices by as much as 60%. Weird. There's no clip of this on CNN. That's incredibly odd. It will also improve the Medicare drug pricing negotiation program in order to eclipse the 22% in savings achieved under the program's first year. Along with these measures, the order directs the administration to develop reforms to promote a more competitive, transparent, efficient, and resilient prescription drug value chain. Adding to other moves Trump has taken in the order to reduce prices at medical facilities and hospitals to be upfront and transparent, allowing for more competitive pricing. Trump has also said that he will be using the order to create drug importation programs to lower the cost of prescription drugs for all states. Funny, that didn't make it onto CNN. That's weird. It didn't make it onto CNN. I wonder why that is. We heard Joe Biden yammer on about how he lowered the price of insulin, which he didn't do, by the way. Now Donald Trump has made... I think I have 3 cents laying around somewhere here. Actual help for actual poor people who actually are from America. That is the Donald Trump way. That's the Donald Trump way. Thank God. Also, shocker, we've got an update on the Governor Josh Shapiro incident, arson attack, attempted murder, whatever we want to call it. It turns out he was a radical Palestinian activist. Wow. Who didn't see that coming? Wait, you mean somebody tries to bash in the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania's head with a hammer and burn his family alive? And the guy's a radical Palestinian activist? Damn. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming at all. What a thought. What a notion. Another man who has been charged with the arson of the Tesla dealerships and the New Mexico GOP headquarters. This won't come as a shock to anybody. It won't come as a shock to anybody that this is the guy who decided to set a GOP headquarters on fire. Because why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? A guy who wears blue lipstick. Every day I feel like, I'm telling you guys, every day I feel like I report news here to you, and no one is shocked by any of it. Jameson Wagner, 40, of Albuquerque, was charged with 2 counts of malicious danger and destruction of property by fire or explosives. He faces between 5 and 20 years in prison for each of the counts. According to his biography on his website, according to a biography on the website 500 Queer Scientists, which is a visibility campaign for the LGBTQ plus people and their allies working in STEM jobs, Wagner is described as a queer electronics engineer that uses he, him pronouns. Once again, everybody, why should we be shocked by this? At 3 a.m. local time on February 8th, authorities responded to a Tesla dealership in Albuquerque where two Tesla Model Y vehicles were damaged outside of the showroom. Classified the fire as incendiary, meaning an intentional human act resulted in the fire occurring at the location and where the fire should not have occurred. He also tried to burn down the GOP headquarters in Albuquerque. His pronouns are about to be was, were, yeah. It's absolutely shocking. Yes, look at all the people that find themselves somehow attracted to Democrats. It's just what they do. It's just what they do. Guys, it's 2 o'clock, so Will Johnson will be coming up here any moment now. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Great show. Thank you very much, Bobby Driver. I do appreciate that. Do me a favor, guys. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you keep it locked right in here all day, every day on LFA TV, rumble.com/LFA TV. Also, guys, head on over to LFATV.us. That's LFATV.us. That's the best way to support this network and everything we've got going on over here. Will Johnson, boom, there he is. There he is, guys. I'll catch you guys back live tomorrow. Until then, everybody, stay loud.